Hi, Stuart. It's Paula. Um, so today, two people were not happy with me.
Only
And
two?
only two today. And I realized that's up to them. That's their choice. But then I was still feeling bad. And then I was noticing the feeling, and I'm like, I feel bad that these people were not happy with me. And so I was observing this. And so then I was putting that feeling into my hara and then sending them love. But could you talk about that? Because I feel like we're I was making myself feel bad for feeling bad about them feeling bad. So it's like this entanglement.
Well, look, Paula, how do you get through life without some people feeling bad about you, you know? I mean, look, I've had so many people in my life that have felt bad about me. And finally, I learned that it's not my problem. And I learned another thing. Maybe there is something in me that has to change. Maybe I can learn something from these people about myself that has to change. I don't have to feel guilty. I don't have to be upset. But through detachment, you listen to maybe what they say, and it can teach you something about yourself. I mean, none of us are perfect. And there's always somebody in the world that's going to pick out our imperfection. I mean, mothers are great at that, right? Just picking out your imperfection. You could feel on top of the world and they'll tell you that you got to shine your shoes, you know? So you have to learn how to be strong enough inside, not to allow that kind of thing to affect you. And maybe your shoes do need to be shined, you know, or whatever it is they find fault with. So it's how you use it. You understand? It's absolutely how you use it. You can let it, you can feel guilty, you can get angry, you can, get upset at yourself, you can start beating yourself up. I mean, it's all nonsense, you know? Just listen and you might learn something. Because it's usually people that don't agree with us that have the most to teach us, you know? And they're the people we fight with all the time. And, they don't agree with our point of view. You know, my God, you teach that crazy meditation stuff. You know how many times I've heard that from people? You know, what am I going to do? Get upset at them? They have no idea what it is, what I do, So I say, yeah, it's, okay, that's what I teach. And maybe through listening to you, I can learn it to do even better. Maybe I'll go so deep inside myself that it'll touch you somewhere in yourself, and you might want to find more about it. You know, it's how you deal with people, because there's always going to be somebody that's going to find something wrong with you. Because there is always something wrong with us, and our particular gout is not everybody else's gout. I think gout is French for taste. It's not everybody else's gout.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to be strong enough to not allow other people's opinions to affect us and to get us emotional and guilty and angry and upset. There's always going to be somebody who has something negative to say. It wouldn't be the earth if that didn't exist. So, I mean,
I appreciate that, Stuart. And definitely what came to me was you always say that question, what can I learn from this? And then that question I asked myself, what can I learn from this? So thank you for that gift.
yeah, that's just a solution to that problem, because you can't escape it. It's just the nature of, nobody's perfect. And there's always somebody around that's going to point out our imperfections. What do? Get angry at them? No. Okay, I'll grow. I mean, I remember Rudy once said, he said, I'd much rather be wrong than right. He said, if I'm right, there's nowhere to go. If I'm wrong, I can learn something about myself and I can grow and evolve and change. But too many people are so busy defending their rightness
Yes. Mhm.
that there's nowhere for them to go. You understand? They reach the end of their growth. As soon as you're right, your growth stops. Because you stop listening to anybody else. You've become perfect. And let's face it, the only perfection is God. The rest of us have to continue to grow every day.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Paula. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Come on, ask questions.
Well, Stuart,
Yeah.
the question I was going to ask before Paula asked was I was going to ask you to talk about judgment and transcending judgment. And then she asked that question, which I feel is very similar flavor. But there's a judgment that is, let's say, evaluation and healthy to evaluate things. And then there's negative psychic tension judgment that is just very, toxic in a sense. So
Well,
it may be
your
the same
judgment,
answer.
your self-importance, and you know better than everybody else. And you can sit on your throne and tell everybody how to function in their life. Stand that kind of judgment is really dangerous. Making a decision about whether or not to kill somebody is not dangerous. It's a real judgment. Getting angry and fighting with somebody, those are real judgments. But sitting up there and knowing better than everyone in the world about how they should function and constantly giving advice to people, that mostly they don't even need. But we in our ego think we know better than everyone else. This is dangerous judgment to me. But deciding whether or not to go through a red light, I mean, that's just conscious making. I know I can kill somebody if I do that. I will stop my car here, no matter how I feel. That's conscious judgment. Nothing wrong with that. But as I say, sitting there and pretending one's God on your ivory throne, and you're holy, so holy that you know better than everybody else. I mean, that's just pure bullshit. Because as Rudy once said, and I've said it a million times, teachers' job is to serve their students and to serve God, which means a teacher is less than their students. He is the servant, or she is the servant of their students, not some almighty holy person that sits above everybody and tells everybody how to live and what to do and what is the only path to God, which is really dangerous because everybody is unique and everybody will find their way. So I think conscious decisions, rational decisions, I'm not going to throw a rock through a plate of glass. I will quell my emotions. I mean, that will just get me into a lot of trouble. I mean, it's a conscious decision and it's an intelligent decision. I'm not going to fight with my best friend. I will listen to them, learn something from them, not be right and have to put my rightness in their face. All of this is essential, you understand? And learning how to live in the world and learning how to truly be, a person who can defer to other human beings and listen to other human beings, learn from life, and ultimately discover the thing I talk about a lot is that the real teacher is not Stuart, it's not Swami so-and-so, yogi this one, and the priest and the real teacher, the real guru is life. And any teacher worth their orange t-shirt, or orange socks or whatever orange they wear, or, their job is to train people to learn how to sit in front of life and learn from life. Not to know better than life, but to listen to life and let life teach us. The ultimate teacher is life. Once we master that, we truly work out our karma on the earth, and working out your karma with the activation of Kundalini will give you spiritual enlightenment. I can't stress that enough because so many people are at odds with life. They're angry, they're upset, their life has been unjust, it's been this, it's been that. Life hasn't been unjust. It's just that we don't have the capacity to deal with the things that life presents us. Once you develop that capacity, it's not unjust, just a way of teaching you how to grow. And you just bow to it and you thank it for doing that. My job is to train people to do this kind of thing. Please try and sit still. My job is to train people to do this kind of thing. My job is not to be a guru, some person who's holier than thou. I mean, I couldn't even stand to live with myself if I lived that way. My job is to train everyone who comes to study with me in how to build an inner life that is strong enough to be able to sit in front of the real guru, which is life itself. And life itself is infinite energy in the universe. It's not just the little neighborhood we live in. There's so much to learn and so much that is beyond all human comprehension that one has to finally bow to it and say, okay, I will learn from life. I will stop fighting with life. And whatever life presents me represents a teacher for me. I mean, you save yourself so much heartache and anger and being upset and being better than other people and all that stuff that creates so much tension that it eats people alive. I hope this is clear because this is so important in terms of just simply developing our humanity. Forget about a spiritual life, just learning how to live here like a human being. It's so important. Once you develop your humanity, a spiritual life is just stone's throw from that, just totally organic. It begins to happen. I hope that's clear, Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Wendy.
Yes, Stuart. How would you deal with physical discomfort or pain that might come up during the meditation?
Well, there's a number of ways. Mostly physical discomfort or any kind of pain, if it's in the chest, if it's, below the navel, or, it's really the chakra trying to open. And the pain is usually resistance to opening. And how do I deal with it? I draw the pain into the chakra system and allow it to become chi right below the navel. And it usually relieves the pain. And I think that's an incredible thing, to turn the pain into Shakti that flows through your chakra system. Turn it into chi and draw that chi through the sexual area, which will activate Kundalini. That will alleviate, it might not get rid of it 100%, but it'll certainly make it more than bearable to be able to deal with while you're meditating. I will detach myself from the pain because usually there's a little pain. And when the mind gets involved, the pain becomes Frankenstein. The mind feeds it. All our attention is on the pain and we are feeding the pain and it grows. But if you detach yourself from it, you starve it. And the pain usually goes away. I remember, I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I remember years ago, I was in Los Angeles and I was staying at the house of a woman who used to have this television program interviewing spiritual people. And she had to go to a luncheon with a bunch of movie stars and actors and all these people, you know. And she came back to her apartment and she was in, you know, a mess. I mean, she was in so much pain. She was in so much, you know. So I looked at her, I said, just sit down here. I thought she sat down and I started doing some healing work that I know how to do. And part of it was getting the tension out of her heart, you know, and part of it was getting her mind, you know, getting the tension. And by the time I got finished, you understand, the pain went away. This woman looked 10 years older. She was smiling, she was laughing, you know, she just couldn't be happier. And she said, what did you do? What did you do to me? I said, I just opened your heart. The pain was because your heart was closed. And I just took all the tension out of your heart and it opened up and all the pain went away. It became 10 years younger. So she went to her barbecue and, you know, it was really an amazing thing. And I do this with a lot of people, just taking that tension out of the heart chakra, you know, quieting the mind, and the pain goes away. Now, if you internalize that pain and draw it into the chakra below the navel, you'll heal yourself of it. And you'll also learn how to heal yourself of many, many kind of minor indiscretions that happen, physical problems that happen to people that can become major problems because they allow their minds to feed these things. And because the mind feeds these things grow, they get bigger. I'm not saying this works with everything, but I've seen it work with people with cancer. I've seen it work with people with AIDS. I've seen it work with people with heart conditions. I've seen it work with many different kind of illnesses people have had. And one can build a system inside that is strong enough to do what I'm talking about. And that's really, you know, a very real part of this meditation that we practice is learning how to do stuff like this for oneself. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Cyrus.
Stuart, when you're doing that with emotional pain rather than physical, in the physical, you locate the spot, the perceived spot, and you draw. So is that similar for the emotional pain being
Same
drawn?
exact thing, Wendy, because all emotional pain comes from a closed heart. And, you know, I hate to say it, but it's as simple as gratitude will open the heart and alleviate a lot of the pain. It's a simple thing as that. Well, because that's for emotion. Emotional pain comes from a closed heart. We're angry, we're upset, we're jealous, we're this, we're that, you know, the heart is closed. It creates all of this madness. When the heart is open, it all goes away. It's impossible to be, you know, angry when your heart is open. You know, there's love coming out of you. There's joy coming out of you. You forgive. And I mean, you know, look, you get involved in a relationship with somebody and they do things wrong, you know, and it's instant forgiveness because the relationship is new and, you know, and the heart opens. You love the person. You forgive them everything, you know. It's only later on, you know, that we can't quite open our heart the same way, that these things become serious problems. But once the heart is open, you know, you can't be jealous when your heart is open, when there's love and there's unconditional love. You can't be angry at somebody else, you know, and it's, you have to go back to the one person that creates all of that insanity, and that's yourself. Does anyone else have a question who would like to ask? And look, we all blow it, you know, we all blow it. Everybody's just a human being, and we make mistakes, we get angry, we get upset. You know, all these things happen to us. But, you know, we can learn how to master these things and not allow them to encroach on the lives of other people. If we build an inner life that is strong enough to do it. And I keep getting back to this over and over and over again. That is our covenant with God. We have to build an inner life that is strong enough to get over all these things so that our energy, you know, really flows and it becomes one with a higher force in the universe. It can even overcome chemical imbalance and all kinds of stuff that people have wrong with them. You know, all kinds of, you know, mental problems and neurosis, anxieties, and, you know, even schizophrenia. It can overcome anything. That's how powerful the energy of spirit is. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And honestly, that's my job. I'm a Kundalini aerobics instructor. That's what I do, you know, helping people to build a chakra system that is strong enough to do all the things that I'm talking about. One has to get over themselves, because that is always where the problem is. It's not in other people, it's ourselves. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, there'll be class tomorrow evening. Again, if you know people that are interested in learning about these things that are being taught here, I'm always open to new students, new people coming. It's always great because there's always a new flow of energy that comes into the meditation class. And, you know, you have them get in touch with me. I'd be happy to show them or at least arrange to show them the meditation exercise, and they'd be very welcome to attend class. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, then there'll be class tomorrow evening. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. God bless you. And once again, as I end this hour-long session, I'm very grateful to be here, to be learning what I'm learning, you know, with all of you. And God bless you all and thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. Bless you.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Stuart.
Good night.
Thank you, Stuart.
Stuart.
Thank you.